After I read Machen's journal, I put it back in the box, and I closed the lid. I know I said there were 2 more folders with his name on them. I know I said I could not avoid them anymore. Both of those things are still true, but when I sat down to read tonight, I could not pick one up. My hand would not go toward them. Not because I was scared, because I was full. There is a limit to how much of another person's life you can carry in your head before it starts to crowd out your own. I hit that limit 2 nights ago, and I have been past it ever since. I sat in this garage this morning, and I could not remember what I ate yesterday, but I could tell you the shape of the padlock on Ellen Voss's station door in February 1979. I could tell you how Machen's boots sounded on that porch. That is not my memory. Those are not my details to hold. So tonight I decided to read something else, a different file, any file, just to prove to myself I could still read a document without becoming the man who wrote it. I reached into the box without looking. I pulled out the first folder I touched. It was thin, not one of Machen's. I checked the tab. No name, just a case number and a date. 1962. I put it on the workbench. I made a cup of coffee. I sat down. I want to tell you what was in that folder, but I have been trying to write this opening for 20 minutes, and I keep hearing something in my own voice that I am not sure is mine, a cadence I did not use before. I am going to keep going anyway. I do not think stopping helps. The file is from a national forest in central Oregon. June of 1962, a missing person report. A married couple from Salem, both in their early 30s. The husband was a photographer, not a professional, amateur. The wife was a school teacher. They took a long weekend to go camping. They told friends they would be back Sunday night. They did not come back. Their car was found at the trailhead, locked. Both sets of keys inside the glove box. Their tent was found at their permitted campsite 2 miles up the trail. Standing. Sleeping bags rolled out. A camp stove folded and cool. Both pairs of boots were inside the tent. His and hers. Laced together at the tops and placed side by side. I do not need to tell you what I felt when I read that. You know by now. Every file has that line. Every file has the boots. The search took 11 days. It found nothing. No tracks, no blood, no struggle, no sign of an animal. The case was left open officially and closed unofficially. The report was filed and then, at some point later, pulled and put in this box, stamped in red. The interesting part of this file is not the report. It is what was clipped to the back of it. The husband was a photographer. He carried a small 35mm camera on the trip. The camera was inside the tent, in his pack, with everything else. The search team logged it as personal effects. It was later returned to the family. But before it was returned, the Park Service developed the roll of film that was in it. The report notes this. The film was developed as part of the investigation, in case it contained anything relevant. It did not. The Park Service noted that the photographs did not show any suspicious persons or anything that suggested foul play. The prints were returned to the family with the camera. Except one. One print did not go back to the family. It stayed in the file. Someone at the Park Service kept it, and when this file was pulled and put in the box in that concrete room, the photograph came with it. I found it clipped to the back of the report. 4 photographs, not one. Copies of the last 4 exposures on the roll. 3 of them are pictures of the wife. She is standing in front of a stand of pine trees, smiling. Big smile. Her hands in the pockets of her jacket. In one photograph, she is looking off camera at something. In another, she is laughing. Genuine. The husband caught her mid-laugh, and the camera got it. I sat with those 3 photographs for a long time. Not because they were relevant, because they were not. Because a man had spent his last weekend on Earth photographing his wife laughing in front of pine trees, and someone in the Park Service kept a copy of that in a file marked, "Do not file." I do not know why they kept them. I have theories. None of them are kind. The 4th photograph is different. The 4th photograph does not have anyone in it. It is a picture of the porch of a ranger station. A wooden porch. 2 posts holding up a small, overhanging roof. A railing along the front. A screen door in the middle. 2 windows on either side of the door. A single wooden chair against the wall to the left of the door, angled slightly so that if someone sat in it, they would be looking out across the porch and down the road. It looks like late afternoon in the photograph. The light is warm and low. The shadows are long. There are pine trees behind the station. The road that leads up to it is unpaved. I sat with this photograph for maybe 15 minutes before I understood what I was looking at. I have seen this porch before. Not in real life. In another photograph. The one tucked into Ellen Voss's folder. The photograph of Ellen and the man who was looking at her instead of at the camera. It is the same porch. Same posts. Same railing. Same screen door. Same 2 windows. The angle in the Oregon photograph is slightly different, but it is the same building. I got up. I went to Ellen's folder. I took her photograph out, and I laid it next to the 4th frame from the Oregon file. The Oregon photograph was taken in June of 1962. Ellen Voss was posted to that station in 1977. She disappeared in November 1978. 15 years before Ellen was posted there, a man from Salem drove up an unpaved road to that same station and took a photograph of the empty porch on a June afternoon. Then he drove another 2 miles up the trail with his wife, made camp, took off his boots, and disappeared. I want to slow this down because when I first understood what I was looking at, I got up too fast and I had to sit back down. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from the effort of holding a thought that was too big to hold all at once. The station in the Oregon photograph is Ellen Voss's station. Or it was. Or it would be. 15 years in the future from when the photograph was taken. The trail that leads up past that station is the trail the couple from Salem hiked. Their permitted campsite was 2 miles up that trail. That is where they made camp. That is where they left their boots. The cave entrance that I read about in Ellen's file, the one with the scuff marks that nobody searched, is 1 mile from her station, which puts it, more or less, at the halfway point between the station and where the couple camped. The couple from Salem walked past the cave to get to their campsite. On the way there. On the way that took them, unknowingly, into the range of something that was already growing under the mountain in 1962. They did not stop at the cave. Their trail records show they made it to camp. They set up their tent. They took photographs. They cooked dinner. And then sometime between that evening and the next morning, they took their boots off and walked back down the trail. Not out to their car, in the other direction. Back the way they had come. Toward the station. Toward the cave. Because that is where the pull was. And that is where they went. I do not have proof of that. I am guessing. But I have read enough files to know how these stories end, and the trail did not lead to their car. The car was found locked with the keys inside. If they had walked out, the keys would have been in a pocket, not the glove box. They walked back in. There is something I have not said out loud in these recordings, even though I have been thinking about it for weeks. Every file in this box involves a ranger station. Every one. Not every incident takes place at a station. Some are at trailheads, some are in campsites, some are miles into the backcountry. But every file mentions a station in the report, because the station is the nearest Park Service point. The station is where the ranger who filed the report worked from. The station is what the search team was dispatched from. Elkins Creek had a station near the ridge where the 4 hikers vanished. Harlan County had a station where Thomas Calloway worked. Marble Fork does not have an active station now, but the survey team was assigned through a district office that had one at the time. And Ellen Voss had a station. Ellen Voss's station is the one in the Oregon photograph from 1962, 15 years before she was ever posted there. So here is the thing that has been sitting in my chest since I laid those 2 photographs side by side. I have been assuming this whole time that the Park Service reacted to these caves, that people started disappearing and rangers were sent to investigate and stations were built nearby so somebody could keep an eye on the area, that the boots on the porch of Ellen's station were part of the response. But this station was already there in 1962. It was there when the couple from Salem drove past it. It was there before the incidents that ended up in this box began stacking up. The cave was there. The station was there. The pattern was already happening. These stations were not built after the disappearances started. They were built to watch. Somebody in the Park Service knew about the caves, knew about the growth, knew about the pull. And their answer, going back decades, was not to seal every entrance. It was to put a ranger nearby, to have someone stationed close enough to notice when campers went in and did not come out, close enough to file a report, close enough to be the one to find the boots in the tent, close enough, sometimes, to be taken themselves. Ellen Voss was posted to a station near a cave that had been active for at least 15 years before she got there. Nobody told her. Nobody explained. She was given a station and a badge and a radio, and she went up there alone. And Machen was posted to Station 11C, the same setup, the same district, the same distance to a limestone shelf. They were not investigating. They were being used as instruments. Somebody up the chain of command was reading their reports and updating a map. I need to say this out loud, because if I do not say it out loud, I am going to pretend I did not think it. In 1996, I was sent to repair an abandoned ranger station in a national park. I was hired by a Park Service office. I was given coordinates. I was given a description of the work. I was not told the station's designation. I was not told the name of the ranger who had been posted there. I was not told when or why it had been abandoned. I was just told it needed a new roof. I never asked. I was a contractor. I took jobs. I did the work. I did not need to know the history of a building to nail down its shingles. But I have been telling you, for 8 episodes now, that the station I worked on was in the same district as Ellen Voss's station, in the same district as Machen's. I said it because the coordinates on the file put me there, because the description of the location matched, because 11 miles from Machen's station is what the file says. I never actually checked whether my station had a designation of its own. I just went where they told me to go. What if my station was another one of these? What if it had a cave nearby that I never noticed because I was not looking? What if the reason it was abandoned in the late 70s had nothing to do with damage from a winter storm, and everything to do with the ranger who had been posted there, walking off into the wilderness, barefoot? I was sent to repair a station that had been sitting empty for 20 years. Nobody told me why it had been empty. Nobody warned me. I have been assuming, since I found the box, that the Park Service just did not want to send anyone up there, and that hiring an outside contractor was cheaper than reassigning a ranger. But now I am reading a file about a couple who disappeared in 1962 and a station that has been quietly monitoring caves for over half a century, and I do not think it was about money. I think somebody wanted me to be there. Somebody who knew what was in that building. Somebody who wanted the box to be found. Or somebody who wanted whoever went to that station to take on what came with it. I have been sitting with the 4th photograph for hours now. The empty porch. Ellen's station, 15 years before she was posted there. Something has been bothering me about it, and I have only just figured out what. There was a chair in the photograph. A single wooden chair against the wall of the station, to the left of the door, angled so that whoever sat in it would be looking out across the porch. In Ellen Voss's photograph, the one with her and the man who is looking at her, that chair is not visible. The angle is wrong. But if the photographer were standing where he was standing to take that photograph, the chair would have been just off frame to the right. The porch in Ellen's photograph is angled the same. The posts are the same. The railing is the same. The chair from the 1962 photograph is not shown, but it would be exactly where the photographer's shoulder is. I know that chair. Not because I have been to Ellen's station. I have not consciously. But when I picture a wooden chair against the wall of a small station porch, angled to look out down a road at pine trees, I can feel the shape of it. I can feel the way the armrests are worn down. I can feel the small crack in the seat that catches the back of your leg when you sit down wrong. I have sat in that chair. I do not know when. I do not know how. But I have sat in it, and I have sat in it more than once, because the details are too specific to be a guess. I do not want to record any more tonight. I am going to put this file back in the box. I am going to put the box back in the corner of the garage, and I am going to sit in my own house and try to remember where I have sat in that chair. These are the buried archives.